In war, size is never just about spectacle. It is about reach, weight, and dominance. Some aircraft were built to outrun enemies. Others were built simply to be bigger than anything that had ever taken flight. From flying boats that dwarfed destroyers to bombers with wingspans wider than city streets, these giants did not just enter battle. They redefined what air power could look like. Their shadows stretched across oceans, continents, and entire theaters of war. Some carried tanks, some carried atomic weapons, others carried the logistics that kept wars alive. These are the 14 largest aircraft ever used during war. Machines so immense that their very existence changed how wars were fought, supplied, and sustained. Antonov AN-225. Mriya, the absolute giant of war logistics. When discussing the largest aircraft ever used during wartime logistics, the Antonov AN-225 Mriya stands alone. With a wingspan of 88.4 meters and a maximum takeoff weight of 640 tons, it remains the heaviest aircraft ever built and flown. Originally developed in the 1980s to transport the Soviet Buran space shuttle, the AN-225 was engineered for extreme payload capacity rather than conventional combat roles. Yet its sheer size eventually made it a strategic asset in military operations. Unlike bombers or tactical transports, the Mriya's battlefield value came from scale. It could carry main battle tanks, oversized armored vehicles, helicopters, and outsized military hardware that smaller cargo aircraft simply could not accommodate. During the buildup and logistical movements associated with the Gulf War era, the AN-225 and its sister platform, the AN-124, were contracted to move heavy military equipment across continents. Its cavernous cargo hold, longer than a Boeing 737 fuselage, allowed rapid intercontinental repositioning of materiel without disassembly. Structurally, the aircraft required 6 turbofan engines mounted beneath an immense swept wing, supported by a 32-wheel landing gear system to distribute its weight across runways. The reinforced fuselage and nose-loading system allowed direct vehicle entry, streamlining turnaround times in high-demand operations. Its twin vertical stabilizers were designed to manage aerodynamic disturbances when carrying external loads, reflecting its specialized origins. The AN-225 was not a combat aircraft in the traditional sense. It did not drop bombs or fire missiles. Its strategic impact lay in mobility, moving entire components of warfare across global distances in a single flight. In modern conflict logistics, speed and capacity define operational tempo, and few aircraft have ever embodied those principles at such magnitude. Though only one was completed and operational, the AN-225 Mriya symbolized industrial scale applied to wartime support. It redefined what strategic airlift could achieve, proving that sometimes the largest aircraft on the battlefield never engage in combat, yet still shape the course of war through sheer logistical dominance. Antonov AN-124, Ruslan Cold War Heavy Transport Titan. If the AN-225 was the outlier giant, the Antonov AN-124. Ruslan became the true workhorse of oversized military transport. Entering service in the 1980s, the AN-124 was designed to move heavy Soviet military equipment across vast distances, including ballistic missile components, armored vehicles, and mobile radar systems. With a wingspan of 73.3 meters and a maximum takeoff weight exceeding 400 tons, it remains one of the largest operational military cargo aircraft ever fielded. Unlike its larger successor, the Ruslan was built in significant numbers and actively integrated into Cold War logistics planning. Its strategic purpose was mobility under tension. The Soviet Union required the ability to reposition forces quickly across its enormous territory, and rail networks alone were insufficient for rapid deployment. The AN-124 filled that gap by transporting outsized payloads directly to forward airfields. Technically, the aircraft combined scale with flexibility. Its high-mounted wing and powerful turbofan engines allowed operations from semi-prepared runways. The nose could hinge upward for front loading, while a rear cargo ramp enabled drive-through loading of armored vehicles. Its multi-wheel landing gear system distributed weight efficiently, allowing it to operate where smaller airlifters might struggle under heavy loads. After the Cold War, the Ruslan's role expanded beyond its original strategic doctrine. It transported military equipment during NATO operations, supported coalition logistics in the Middle East, and played a visible role in rapid force deployment during modern conflicts. Few aircraft could match its ability to move helicopters, missile systems, and heavy engineering vehicles in a single sortie. The An-124 Ruslan represents the intersection of size and sustained utility. It may not hold the absolute size record, but in terms of operational longevity and repeated wartime use, it stands as one of the largest and most strategically relevant military transports ever built. Lockheed C-5 Galaxy, America's intercontinental heavy lifter. Towering over most aircraft on any runway, the Lockheed C-5 Galaxy was built around a single premise: move anything, anywhere. Introduced in 1970 at the height of the Cold War, the C-5 remains one of the largest military aircraft ever to enter sustained wartime service. With a wingspan of 67.9 meters and a maximum takeoff weight exceeding 380 tons, it was designed to carry outsized cargo across intercontinental distances without refueling stops. Unlike earlier transports that required partial disassembly of heavy equipment, the Galaxy was engineered for direct loading of main battle tanks, armored personnel carriers, and even other aircraft components. Its nose swings upward, and its rear cargo door opens simultaneously, allowing drive-through loading. The cavernous cargo bay stretches longer than a football field when measured nose-to-tail ramp, capable of carrying over 120 tons of equipment in a single mission. The C-5 proved its strategic value during the Vietnam War, where it transported troops and supplies across the Pacific. Later, during Operations Desert Shield and Desert Storm, it became indispensable in moving armored divisions, helicopters, and logistical infrastructure into the Middle East. Its ability to rapidly reposition heavy formations defined modern American expeditionary warfare. Without the Galaxy, large-scale overseas deployments would have unfolded far more slowly. Technically ambitious, the aircraft initially faced reliability challenges related to engines and structural fatigue. Subsequent modernization programs, including re-engining and avionics upgrades, extended its service life well into the 21st century. Despite its size, it demonstrated surprising operational flexibility, landing at forward bases to deliver cargo directly into active theaters. The C-5 Galaxy embodies scale applied to strategy. It does not engage enemies directly, yet its presence determines how quickly military power can appear across the globe. In terms of size, payload, and sustained combat-era deployment, it stands firmly among the largest and most influential aircraft ever used during war. Boeing B-52, Stratofortress, the long-wing nuclear bomber. Few aircraft silhouettes are as unmistakable as the long, high-aspect ratio wings of the Boeing B-52 Stratofortress. Entering service in 1955, the B-52 became one of the largest and longest-serving combat aircraft ever deployed in wartime operations. With a wingspan of 56.4 meters and a maximum takeoff weight exceeding 220 tons, it was engineered for sustained intercontinental nuclear deterrence. Designed during the early Cold War, the Stratofortress was built to carry massive payloads over extreme distances. Its 8 turbojet engines, mounted in 4 twin pods, provided the thrust needed to lift nuclear weapons and conventional bombs alike. The aircraft's internal bomb bay and underwing pylons allowed it to carry more than 30 tons of ordnance, giving it immense destructive capability. Unlike many large bombers of its era, the B-52 was optimized for high-altitude penetration before later adapting to low-level flight profiles to evade radar. Its operational history stretches across multiple wars. During the Vietnam War, B-52s conducted large-scale bombing campaigns under Operations Rolling Thunder and Linebacker, delivering enormous payloads over North Vietnam. In the Gulf War and subsequent conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan, the aircraft shifted toward precision-guided munitions, demonstrating adaptability despite its size and age. Structurally, the B-52's massive wing allowed efficient long-range cruising, but it also required reinforced landing gear and complex structural maintenance over decades of service. Continuous modernization. New avionics, updated weapons systems, and engine upgrades has extended its lifespan far beyond original projections. The Stratofortress represents scale in strategic bombing. While not the heaviest aircraft ever built, its size combined with operational longevity makes it one of the largest aircraft to repeatedly see combat use. Decades after its first flight, the B-52 remains a central pillar of long-range strike capability, proving that large airframes can endure through evolving eras of warfare. Convair B-36, Peacemaker, the six-engine Cold War giant. Before intercontinental ballistic missiles defined nuclear deterrence, the United States relied on reach measured in wingspan. The Convair B-36 Peacemaker was the physical embodiment of that doctrine. With a staggering 70.1-meter wingspan, longer than many modern airliners, and a maximum takeoff weight exceeding 185 tons, it was the largest mass-produced piston-engine bomber ever built. The B-36 was conceived during World War II, when planners feared Britain might fall, and the U.S. would need a bomber capable of striking Europe directly from North America. Although it did not see combat in World War II, it became the backbone of early Cold War nuclear strategy. Its defining feature was propulsion. 6 massive radial piston engines mounted in a pusher configuration on the wings, later supplemented by 4 jet engines to improve speed and takeoff performance. The result was a hybrid giant, often described as 6 turning, 4 burning. Its immense wings were not merely dramatic, they were necessary. The aircraft had to carry heavy nuclear weapons over intercontinental distances without refueling. Those long, high aspect ratio wings provided lift efficiency at high altitude, allowing the bomber to cruise above many contemporary interceptors. In an era before sophisticated surface-to-air missiles, altitude was survival. Operationally, the Peacemaker served as a visible deterrent rather than an active battlefield participant. It stood ready during the most volatile early years of the Cold War, when tensions with the Soviet Union escalated rapidly. Crews trained for missions that would have required flying deep into hostile airspace with limited escort support. Despite its size and range, the B-36 was expensive to maintain and increasingly vulnerable as jet interceptors and radar systems improved. By the late 1950s, faster jet-powered bombers and missile technology rendered it obsolete. The Peacemaker remains one of the largest combat aircraft ever fielded in a wartime posture. It was not defined by battles fought, but by the immense shadow it cast during a period when global destruction depended on how far and how high a bomber could fly. Boeing B-29, Superfortress, the Pacific Superbomber. When the war in the Pacific demanded reach beyond anything previously attempted, the Boeing B-29 Superfortress emerged as the largest and most technologically advanced bomber of World War II to see sustained combat. With a wingspan of 43 meters and a maximum takeoff weight approaching 60 tons, it dwarfed earlier Allied bombers and redefined strategic air power in the Pacific theater. Unlike the B-17 and B-24, which were designed primarily for European operations, the B-29 was engineered for vast oceanic distances. Its pressurized cabin allowed crews to operate at high altitudes in greater comfort and safety, while remote-controlled gun turrets provided defensive coverage without exposing gunners to open air. These innovations made it one of the most advanced aircraft of its era. The aircraft's size directly translated into capability. It could carry heavier bomb loads farther than any previous American bomber. From bases in the Mariana Islands, B-29s launched long-range bombing campaigns against the Japanese mainland, including incendiary raids that devastated industrial centers. The scale of these missions required enormous logistical support, but the bomber's range and payload capacity made them possible. 2 B-29s, Enola Gay and Boxcar, carried out the atomic bomb missions over Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That role alone secured the aircraft's place in history. though its operational impact extended far beyond those missions. Thousands of sorties were flown under challenging weather and combat conditions, pushing both airframe and crew endurance. The B-29's complexity came at a cost. Early engine overheating issues and maintenance demands created difficulties in deployment. Yet, once refined, the Superfortress became a decisive strategic instrument. Measured by size, range, and combat employment, the B-29 stands among the largest aircraft used during World War II. It transformed distance from an obstacle into an operational advantage, reshaping the Pacific Air War through scale and sustained bombardment. Messerschmitt Me 323, Gigant, Nazi Germany's flying fortress transport. If any aircraft of World War II deserved the label Gigant, it was the Messerschmitt Me 323 Gigant. With a wingspan of approximately 55 meters and powered by 6 engines mounted along its enormous high wing, the Me 323 was the largest land-based transport aircraft to see operational use during the war. The aircraft evolved from an earlier glider concept designed to carry heavy equipment during airborne operations. Germany needed a way to move tanks, artillery, and large supplies across contested regions without relying entirely on vulnerable sea routes. The solution was to scale up dramatically. The Me 323 featured a cavernous fuselage capable of carrying armored vehicles, trucks, and over 100 fully equipped troops. Its nose doors opened outward, allowing direct loading of cargo, an advanced concept for its time. Yet its size created vulnerabilities. The Gigant was slow, with a cruising speed far below that of Allied fighters. Fully loaded, it became an enormous target in the sky. During operations in the Mediterranean and North Africa, formations of Me 323s transporting supplies to Axis forces were intercepted by Allied aircraft, resulting in devastating losses. The combination of limited defensive armament and poor maneuverability made survival heavily dependent on fighter escort. Despite these risks, the aircraft's payload capacity was unmatched among German transports. It could carry loads that would have required multiple smaller aircraft, making it strategically valuable in desperate logistical situations. However, Germany's deteriorating air superiority meant that deploying such a massive, slow-moving platform grew increasingly dangerous. The Me 323 represents a clear case where scale was both strength and liability. It was among the largest aircraft used operationally during World War II, and its size allowed it to move heavy military assets across long distances. At the same time, that very size exposed it to catastrophic losses in contested skies, highlighting the double-edged nature of building giants in wartime aviation. Blohm Voss BV 238, the largest aircraft of World War II. At a time when most combat aircraft were shrinking for speed and agility, Germany briefly fielded something that moved in the opposite direction. Massive, deliberate, and almost naval in scale, the Blohm Voss BV 238 remains the largest aircraft to fly during World War II. With a wingspan of 60.2 meters and a maximum takeoff weight exceeding 100 tons, it dwarfed contemporary bombers and patrol aircraft alike. The BV 238 was conceived as a long-range maritime patrol and transport flying boat. Its enormous hull allowed it to operate from open water, bypassing the need for vulnerable runways. 6 radial engines were mounted along its high wing, providing the thrust necessary to lift its immense structure from the surface. When viewed on the water, it resembled a small ship more than an aircraft. Structurally, the aircraft incorporated heavy defensive armament, including multiple gun turrets positioned to cover wide arcs. The intention was to give the giant flying boat at least some chance of survival during long patrol missions over contested seas. However, by the time the prototype flew in 1944, Germany's strategic position had deteriorated significantly. Air superiority increasingly belonged to the Allies, and deploying such a large and relatively slow aircraft became risky. Only one BV-238 prototype was completed and flown operationally in limited capacity. Its service life was brief. In September 1944, It was attacked and destroyed by Allied aircraft while moored. The aircraft's immense size had not translated into operational impact before it was eliminated. The BV-238 stands as a striking example of wartime engineering ambition. It was the largest aircraft to take to the skies during World War II, yet its size offered no guarantee of survivability in an environment dominated by faster, more maneuverable fighters. Its brief existence highlights the tension between scale and practicality in wartime aviation design. Short Sunderland, the Atlantic Flying Fortress. In the vast expanse of the Atlantic, where convoys moved slowly and submarines hunted relentlessly, size and endurance mattered more than speed. The Short Sunderland was one of the largest Allied aircraft regularly deployed during World War II, built not for bombing cities but for dominating open ocean. With a wingspan of 34.4 meters and a fully loaded weight exceeding 26 tons, it ranked among the largest maritime patrol aircraft of its era. Unlike land-based bombers, the Sunderland operated as a flying boat. Its deep hull allowed it to land directly on water, refuel at remote anchorages, and conduct extended patrols far from conventional airfields. This operational flexibility made it a critical asset in the Battle of the Atlantic, where convoy protection required persistent air presence across enormous distances. The aircraft carried multiple gun turrets, nose, dorsal, and tail, earning it the nickname Flying Porcupine among German pilots. Combined with depth charges and bombs stored internally, the Sunderland could both defend itself and strike submarines detected on the surface. Its endurance allowed patrols lasting up to 14 hours, sweeping sea lanes where U-boats attempted to intercept Allied shipping. Though not as massive as some strategic bombers, the Sunderland's role magnified its size advantage. Its spacious fuselage accommodated crew, navigation equipment, radar upgrades, and anti-submarine weaponry. As radar technology improved, the aircraft became even more effective at locating submarines attempting to surface under cover of darkness. The Sunderland was not invulnerable. Operating over open ocean exposed it to long-range German fighters and harsh weather conditions. Yet, its defensive firepower and rugged construction allowed it to survive engagements that smaller aircraft might not have endured. Among the largest aircraft consistently used in maritime combat during the World War II, the Short Sunderland demonstrated how scale could be applied to endurance and persistence. It helped close the mid-Atlantic air gap, turning the ocean from a sanctuary for submarines into contested territory patrolled by wings broad enough to span the horizon. Martin JRM Mars, the Pacific Ocean, air giant. Stretching across the Pacific war zone required more than fighters and bombers. It required lift on a scale few aircraft could provide. The Martin JRM Mars answered that demand as one of the largest operational flying boats ever built for military service. With a wingspan of 60.9 meters, comparable to some of the largest land-based bombers of the era, and a maximum takeoff weight exceeding 74 tons, the Mars stood among the largest aircraft used during World War II. Originally conceived as a long-range patrol bomber, the aircraft's mission shifted toward heavy transport as wartime needs evolved. Its enormous hull, capable of landing on open water, allowed it to deliver cargo and personnel across vast Pacific distances without reliance on established airfields. In a theater defined by scattered islands and limited infrastructure, that flexibility was strategic. Powered by 4 large radial engines mounted on a high wing, the Mars lifted payloads that dwarfed most contemporary transports. It could carry troops, equipment, or bulk supplies between Hawaii and forward island bases. Its interior volume and range allowed it to move critical material in a single flight that would otherwise require multiple smaller aircraft. The aircraft did not participate directly in bombing campaigns, but its logistical impact was substantial. By shortening supply lines and reducing dependency on vulnerable shipping routes, the Mars contributed to operational tempo in the Pacific. Its size translated into endurance and carrying capacity rather than combat maneuverability. Only a small number were built, and their wartime service was relatively limited compared to land-based transports. Still, in terms of wingspan and mass, the Martin JRM Mars ranks among the largest aircraft to operate in World War II. It represented a maritime solution to long-range logistics, proving that in a war spread across oceanic distances, the largest aircraft were often those that kept the war machine supplied, rather than those that dropped the bombs. Tupolev Tu-160, the supersonic heavyweight. Among the largest combat aircraft ever to fly at supersonic speed, the Tupolev Tu-160 occupies a category of its own. Known in NATO reporting as Blackjack, the Tu-160 combines sheer physical scale with high-speed capability. With a wingspan that varies up to 55.7 meters when its swing wings are fully extended and a maximum takeoff weight approaching 275 tons, it remains the heaviest and largest supersonic bomber ever placed into operational service. Unlike earlier heavy bombers that relied primarily on altitude or endurance for survival, the Tu-160 was engineered for speed. 4 powerful afterburning turbofan engines allow it to exceed Mach 2, giving the aircraft the ability to penetrate or bypass air defense networks rapidly. Its variable sweep wings enable efficient cruising at subsonic speeds while providing aerodynamic optimization during high-speed dash phases. Internally, the Tu-160 carries cruise missiles and conventional or nuclear payloads within twin weapons bays, preserving aerodynamic efficiency. Rather than conducting low-level bombing runs, it operates primarily as a standoff strike platform, launching long-range missiles from outside heavily defended airspace. This operational doctrine reflects the evolution of air warfare, where range and precision increasingly outweigh direct overflight. The aircraft entered service in the late Cold War, intended as a counterweight to Western strategic bombers. Although originally conceived for nuclear deterrence, the Tu-160 has seen combat use in modern conflicts, including long-range cruise missile strikes in Syria. These missions demonstrated that despite its size and Cold War origins, the aircraft remains a relevant strategic asset. The Tu-160 illustrates how scale and speed can coexist. It is not merely large for transport or endurance. It is large while retaining supersonic performance. In the context of wartime operations, few aircraft combine such mass with such velocity. As a result, it stands firmly among the largest and most imposing combat aircraft ever used in war. Lockheed C-141, Starlifter, Vietnam War heavy transport. The jet age transformed military airlift, and the Lockheed C-141 Starlifter became one of the largest aircraft to operationalize that shift during active conflict. Entering service in the mid-1960s, the C-141 introduced high-speed, long-range jet transport capability to the United States Air Force at a scale that reshaped wartime logistics. With a wingspan of 48.7 meters and a maximum takeoff weight exceeding 150 tons, it ranked among the largest jet transports in combat-era use. Unlike propeller-driven cargo aircraft of earlier wars, the Starlifter could cross oceans rapidly without refueling stops, drastically reducing deployment timelines. During the Vietnam War, it served as a primary bridge between the United States and Southeast Asia. Troops, vehicles, ammunition, and medical evacuation flights flowed through its cavernous fuselage. The aircraft's rear loading ramp and high-mounted wing design enabled efficient cargo handling and improved runway performance. The C-141 was engineered around intercontinental mobility rather than tactical landing in contested zones. Its long, slender fuselage optimized internal cargo volume, while its 4 turbofan engines delivered sustained cruising speeds far above piston transports. In practical terms, that meant equipment could be repositioned across hemispheres in a fraction of the time previously required. However, early models revealed structural limitations in payload-to-volume efficiency. The aircraft often bulked out before reaching maximum weight capacity, leading to later fuselage stretch modifications in the C-141B variant. These improvements extended its usefulness well beyond Vietnam, including operations in the Gulf War and humanitarian missions. Measured by size and wartime employment, the C-141 stands as one of the largest aircraft to actively sustain combat operations through strategic airlift. It did not drop bombs or engage enemy aircraft. yet its presence determined how quickly forces could deploy and rotate. In modern warfare, that ability is decisive. The Starlifter's scale, combined with jet-era speed, marked a turning point in how large aircraft shaped war without firing a shot. Ilyushin Il, or Il-76 Soviet war workhorse. Few aircraft better represent sustained large-scale military airlift than the Ilyushin Il-76. Introduced in the 1970s, the Il-76 was designed to give the Soviet Union the ability to move heavy equipment and airborne troops rapidly across its vast territory and beyond. With a wingspan of 50.5 meters and a maximum takeoff weight exceeding 190 tons in later variants, it ranks among the largest military transport aircraft ever used in active conflicts. Unlike Western transports optimized for prepared airfields, the Il-76 was engineered with ruggedness in mind. Its high-mounted wing, multi-wheel landing gear, and powerful turbofan engines allowed operations from semi-prepared or rough runways. That capability proved essential during the Soviet-Afghan War, where mountainous terrain and limited infrastructure demanded flexible airlift solutions. The aircraft routinely transported armored vehicles, artillery systems, and paratroopers into forward bases. The Il-76's cavernous cargo hold enabled it to carry up to 50 tons of payload, including infantry fighting vehicles or large troop contingents. A rear loading ramp simplified vehicle entry and airborne operations. It also became a platform for specialized roles, including airborne early warning, aerial refueling, and firefighting, reflecting the adaptability of its large airframe. Beyond Afghanistan, the Il-76 has seen extensive use in multiple conflicts involving Soviet and post-Soviet forces, including operations in Syria and Ukraine. Its continued service across decades underscores the durability of its design. While not as massive as the N-124 or C-5, it balances size with operational practicality, making it one of the most widely deployed large military transports in history. The Il-76 demonstrates that being among the largest aircraft used during war does not necessarily mean being the biggest overall. Instead, it reflects sustained operational presence. In that regard, the Il-76 stands as one of the most enduring and strategically significant heavy airlifters ever fielded. Handley Halifax, Britain's massive night bomber. When Britain turned to strategic night bombing as a core element of its war effort, scale became essential. The Handley Halifax emerged as one of the largest aircraft regularly flown by the Royal Air Force during World War II. With a wingspan of 31.7 meters and a maximum takeoff weight approaching 30 tons, it ranked among the heaviest four-engine bombers deployed in sustained combat over Europe. Designed as a long-range heavy bomber, the Halifax carried substantial bomb loads into heavily defended airspace under cover of darkness. Its four radial engines provided the thrust necessary to lift thousands of pounds of ordnance, while multiple defensive gun turrets protected it from night fighters. Though often overshadowed by the Avro Lancaster in popular memory, the Halifax flew thousands of sorties and formed a significant portion of RAF Bomber Command's striking power. Its large internal bomb bay allowed flexibility in payload configuration, ranging from general-purpose bombs to specialized munitions. The aircraft's size enabled it to operate at altitude for extended missions, deep into occupied Europe. Night operations reduced exposure to daylight interception, but introduced navigational and formation challenges, placing high demands on crews and onboard instrumentation. Over time, the Halifax evolved through multiple variants, improving engine reliability, defensive armament, and performance. Beyond bombing missions, it was adapted for maritime patrol, electronic warfare, and special operations supply drops, demonstrating the versatility afforded by its substantial airframe. While not as enormous as later Cold War strategic bombers, the Halifax was among the largest aircraft actively used in World War II combat. Its presence over Europe symbolized Britain's commitment to sustained strategic bombing. In the context of wartime aviation scale, the Halifax stood as a heavy, long-winged instrument of night warfare, massive enough to carry the weight of Britain's aerial campaign across the continent.